Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We
Ready?
are live.
Let me restart recording.
Okay.
Almost forgot that. Okay, we're recording.
Hello and welcome to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
Currently in season 1 of Verhoeven Effect, we are watching network television because me and Nathan do not watch network television generally, at least not live. And so this season we are watching 3 police procedural dramas. We have 2014's NCIS New Orleans, 2008's The Mentalist, and 1984's Miami Vice. And as always, we start with NCIS New Orleans. We have season 1, episode 12, The Abyss. Original air date January 13th, 2015, CBS Tuesday. When a Navy admiral's daughter is the prime suspect in a double murder case aboard a research boat, the NCIS team partners with the Coast Guard Investigative Service to work the case. Meanwhile, LaSalle tracks down his estranged brother. Showrunner Gary Glasberg, written by Sam Humphrey, directed by Terrence O'Hara.
Yeah, this episode started off with some Coast Guard action.
Yeah. So I guess this character was a reoccurring character in the original NCIS.
Oh, okay.
And where I recognized her, I was like, where do I know her from? And she was like one of the prosecutors for a long time on just general Law and Order.
Oh, the Law and Order, the original Law and Order.
Yes. I like that all the Law and Orders disappeared except for SVU, and now they have a new Law and Order coming out.
Yeah.
It's like, I forget, it's like organized crime, and it's like I forget his name. He left the SVU show earlier, but now he's back with his own show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of those guys. One of those other shows I don't watch unless I'm doing a podcast about.
Yeah, it's her name's her actor name is Diane Neal. It's Agent Abigail Bourne. I really like her. Like I always thought this was like some kind of setup for a new like NCIS show, or it was going to be CGIS.
Yeah.
But it was not. Just that was a reoccurring character. But yeah, you have like, what are they like? They're catching drug smugglers or something, and then they just find an abandoned boat, and they think it's a part of the drug smuggling, and then there's dead bodies. You know, people have been murdered on a boat, so that's when we got to go get NCIS and bring them in.
Yeah, because I guess I didn't know there was a Coast Guard investigation service.
Yeah.
Now I do. I learned something. I didn't know there was an NCIS or what it was before I started watching this show. So
yeah.
So I guess we got all those things. But yeah, this started off with some exciting boat chases and boardings and then like dead people in an abandoned ship, and that's like, oh, that's always creepy.
I like it. It was really lit very well, because it started off as just this red lighting, and like she's like interrogating some drug guy or whatever, and then when they go to the boat, it's kind of like a blue lighting, so it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it all in all, it looks like they threw some money at this, because this is like the mid mark of the season.
Yeah.
So
we have LaSalle looking for his brother. I think he's just on the phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone meets Abigail Bourne, and then they hint at that like her and Pride have like some sort of past, and like they unintentionally talk about like they're like former lovers or something like that, and they're like, no, that's not what we meant. But that was kind of imply that they're really close, but like everybody mistakes it what they're meaning.
Yeah, somebody has like some throwaway comment like, I bet you that was a wild night with a lot of action. Like, oh yeah, and then they're like, but not with each other. It's kind of awkward. Because she's kind of got a forceful personality and someone who kind of says wild stuff, but when it's said about her, she's like, well, no, not like that. There's a few instances of that in this episode. It's like, what does that say about this character? She's deceptive or ashamed, or and we never find out. So
yeah, the bodies are Mark Post, Cindy Rutberg, and Anna Huntley, who is the admiral's daughter. Anna Huntley's body is not there; she's missing. So they're on the lookout for her at the moment. And then we have LaSalle meets Cade, his older brother. Which, so do you know the actor who plays Cade?
He looks familiar.
Okay, well, allegedly he is a fucking nightmare.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was the guy who played Riggs in the Lethal Weapon TV show, and they kicked him off of the show like after the second season. and I heard I hear he's a real asshole. I hear he like directed a couple of episodes and like nearly got stuntmen killed. Like he's just one of those like method actor assholes where it's like, you know, if you get in front of his method, he's like just blows up on everybody. So, you know, real appropriate for his character playing a bipolar manic depressive guy.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, this guy's volatile and unpredictable. I think we found the right guy.
But yeah, last time I knew that guy was an asshole. I don't know if he got better or anything, but
I always knew that Lethal Weapon TV show was like people heard about it and they were like, well, this is going to suck. And then I heard it wasn't terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it got 3 seasons. So.
But then it just kind of just faded away. It was like, it initially made a Flash. It was like, well, and I think the Flash was, well, this wasn't as awful as we prognosticated it would be. But then it turned out to just not like, you know, it doesn't have a 7-season arc or anything. So.
Yeah, well, it's also, I believe it was a Fox television show, and like usually Fox television shows aren't long for this world. And if they are, they're like bad shows, or they have I mean, like Bones ran for like, you know, 8 seasons or whatever, and like that show's fine, but you know, it's just another police procedure.
Above and Beyond. What was the other one? Firefly. It's like, yeah, people really like this. Let's cancel it. Just stop it.
It doesn't suck enough. Cancel it.
I mean, Space Above and Beyond is bad looking back, but at the time it was like, well, this is different.
Yeah.
It's like dark sci-fi, but now it's like, oh, this is so ridiculous and thin. It's like every week we're going to die. It's like, well,
actually, I probably like there's something I was thinking about where I was thinking about, because like Diane Neal's in it reminded me of Law and Order. And like when I was a kid, I didn't like Law and Order. Like I thought it was just a boring show. And then sometimes when I was in college, like between like 10 and like 2 p.m., they just run Law and Order reruns. Okay. Just like back to back to back. And I like just kind of had it on the background, and I liked it. And I didn't necessarily like it because it was a good show. It's just an incredibly well structured show.
Yeah.
Because you start off like, here's the body. Now the cops are going to come in, and the detectives, and they're kind of figure out like, all right, who's the culprit? Then they have somebody who they think is the culprit, and then that gets handed off to the prosecutors, and the rest of the show is a court case drama. It's like, oh, this is incredibly well structured. Like every show is going to run exactly like this. But then like you think about something like Space Above and Beyond, which, you know, we liked, but I haven't gone back and watched it. But what I do remember about it is like almost every show was like different. You never got the same show. Like it didn't have, like they changed the structure of it constantly, which like that's why some of these shows like last so long, is people are really attracted to the structure, not necessarily like the episode to episode drama or anything like that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's again. I mean, it's hard to find it. I've watched it. Rewatched it like within the last 5 years, and I just came away thinking like, well, this wasn't as good as I remembered, but for like the mid 90s, it was really cool. I mean, because nobody had done, it was either Star Trek or something.
I mean, it was, from what I can remember, it looked better than like Babylon 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. and like I said, it did have a grim storyline. Like there was always not only impending doom, but then like, oh, these characters you all care about, like they could die every episode, and some of them did, and that was unusual. But then it got almost ridiculously like that. It was like, well, this can't be this dark, bleak all the time. And then it ended after one season.
Oh, okay. I thought they got a second season.
No, because they ended with like almost everyone got killed supposedly in a bombing because they finally met the aliens.
Yeah, because it got like an alien ship and basically turned into a suicide run, and that was like the end of it. But okay, I thought they got a second season. Okay.
No, I don't think they got a second season, but but at the end they like had an ambassador from the alien race, and they found out like, oh, they have 95% human DNA. What does this mean? Because they were portrayed as really alien, and they are weird looking. But like, what does that mean, and what does that say? And then you found out like whatever corporation was doing like mining, because it's always the corporations that control everything. It's like, oh, they knew these aliens were here, but they knew how much the mining rights were worth, so they just decided to like antagonize the aliens into a war, and then we'd kill them all and get all the whatever gold or whatever they're mining in space. And so they figured all that out. Like in the last episode, they started opening all this stuff, and then the alien ambassador turned out he had a suicide bomb, and it killed like all the main characters in this meeting. It's like, okay, where does this go the next season? It never happened. So those are the guys from X-Files that did that. Was James Wong or Hong, or I forget who it was, but yeah, there's a lot of X-Files.
Yeah, that's it's like the Millennium guys too.
Yeah,
so
Glenn Morgan.
Yes. Yeah, they wrote a ton of episodes. Like it's like, oh, Chris Carter writes a couple episodes. Those guys wrote like every second episode they wrote, and they wrote every Millennium episode, and they wrote, I think, probably wrote every Space Above and Beyond episode.
I remember Millennium was subtly cool for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, it was really good. It didn't get as much credit as it should have for being as good as it was, but I remember like, it's like,
well, the first season's great, but the first season's kind of a standard just serial killer drama, and it's great. And then the second season, they like really like they bring in the humor and stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's like, oh, this is fantastic. I had no idea the show was doing this. And then the third season, like, pretty much they got like I think they brought like Dick Wolf in, and he ruined everything. Yeah. It's like, we need the show to make money, and it didn't.
We can't have like low key Satan in the background in every, because they did shadow boxes of like demons with horns, and people would be talking, and it's like, what is this?
Well, they had a whole episode that was just about the demons that are like doing like a laundromat, talking about all these people they like convinced to kill themselves, and it's a humorous episode. And it's crazy. It's like, what is this show? But like everybody else, they just saw these like old guys sitting at a table. But when the main character, when Lance Henriksen walks in, he sees them as demons, and he's like, wait, what? And then they're like looking at him like, wait, can he see us? And but it's kind of a side episode. It's not really meant to affect the main storyline. But it was a really cool episode.
Yeah, they did some wild stuff. And that was their homage to the Screw Tape Letters. I've seen that, the Laundromat episode. Because you've read the Screw Tape Letters, haven't you?
I have not. Who wrote that?
The guy who wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
C.S. Lewis? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, is that okay? I got that right.
Who wrote this Lion, the Witch? Was it C.S. Lewis? I think it was. I don't know.
Wait, who wrote Lord of the Rings? That's Tolkien. Okay, yeah. C.S. Lewis wrote. Yeah, C.S. Lewis wrote the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Let me make sure I'm right on that before I launch it. It has absolutely nothing to do with the shows we watch.
Yeah, but it spawned off a conversation. Yeah, usually we keep Verhoeven Effect on order, but we went down a really large rabbit hole.
Yes, C.S. Lewis wrote it.
Okay,
it's a great book, but it's basically about an older demon instructing a younger demon on how to corrupt people.
Yeah,
but it's so like insightful to like how people are really corrupt, and how basically they corrupt themselves, but in this universe it's demons. But yeah, it's very old fashioned in some ways, but yeah, it was the Screw Tape Letters is great because it's very eye opening into like, oh, this corruption is alive in me and everyone else. Now whether you believe it's demons or not is whatever you believe in, but it's like, yeah, this is how people walk down a dark path. And it was a great book for that. And that, I think the guys who wrote that episode, they credited like C.S. Lewis is like, yeah, this is like the Screw Tape Letters, but it's modern. Like, I don't think they were trying to convince people to kill themselves in the Screw Tape Letters, but basically turn away from God
Yeah.
and like just embrace pure rationality, because only stupid people believe in God, and you can show them how. And it goes into this whole, it actually, churches read that book a lot. But it is great literature also. It kind of gives, it's like the Bible. It gives insight into the human condition. It's like, yeah, this is how evil happens. You can believe all the magic and sorcery if you want to, but ultimately it's like a lesson about people and the dog barking. So anyway, yeah. So
yeah, LaSalle picks up his older brother in a jail cell. We're not sure why he's running or what he's in for. And then I just wrote speculating that he has some mental illness, probably bipolar disorder, and of course that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't want to take his meds, so this is why he just disappears. What name was he using? He was using like the fugitive name.
Yeah, the guy from The Fugitive. What was his name? Because they also referenced Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah. His other name was
later.
Like something Caulfield, but
Holden Caulfield.
Yeah.
Where
is it like Richard Kimball? No.
Yes, yeah.
Is it right? All right. Okay, yeah, okay.
That's the name he was using.
Yeah. So then we get to Clive, the ripoff, the boat ripoff artist.
Yes.
They find some and he's like dating two women at once, and like they're like looking for, it's like, what like midlife crisis guy who steals boats can we get? Because he steals like some luxury boat and he repaints it, because that's how they because they find some weird paint on the boat, and that's where they're able to link it to him. And they also go to the university, because these three people that were killed are like marine biologists or something.
Right.
And like, so they find on Clive boats like some like Spanish silver that's like worth $500 a coin or something like that. But it's like in this marina area that is like under what would you call that?
It's like a protected area.
Yeah, it's a protected area, which is why presumably why these people are there, is like they use their marine biology as an excuse to basically go treasure hunting.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Also, there's like they leverage like student loan debt as like the reason for committing crimes.
Why would the admiral's daughter do this? Well, she has student loan debt. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, he's an admiral.
Yes, he should be making a ton of money.
Then you find out that, like, although they have a very tortured relationship, so it's like, oh, okay, they do kind of paint themselves or get themselves out of that box.
And they're able
to interview the professor, because she's all talking about how it's like, oh, the climate's gonna kill us, and she's like got that angle, and I'm like, oh, please make them get killed because they were faking climate data, please. But it didn't end up happening. It was treasure hunting. So.
Well, they find some special organism that they use to like locate the admiral's daughter. And I thought for a minute there, was like, is this going to be like a Parasite episode? Because you get at some point you get video footage of like them fighting on the boat, and then like, but you don't, and you see her like grab a gun and point it at somebody, but like you never see who she's pointing at. So I was like, are they pointing at nothing? Do they contract a parasite? And then now they're all going crazy, but that was not what that's absolutely not what happened.
I was hoping this would be, because they called it The Abyss was the name of the episode. It's like, oh, there's going to be weird like water diseases, parasites. There's going to be some homonym about climate change, but no, it was just Spanish treasure stolen from the Incans or whatever. Yeah, and the guy playing the admiral, I hadn't seen him in years.
Oh, Corbin Burnson?
Yeah, it's like I haven't seen him since it's been a long time since I've seen him.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. I think he was in Monk. I think that was like the last big thing he was in.
Well, I just thought him being on the show is like, oh, this is going to be a double header. They're bringing in like, other big name actors or big name for TV actors, and it's like, no, he was just kind of there,
Yeah.
Did a good job acting, and considering his daughter's reputation throughout most of the episode was just drugged through the toilet, like, oh, we think she did it.
Yeah, and at the end they give the hope they give is that like the daughter jumped in front of a bullet to like save her friend, even though they all died anyways. But
yeah, I wish the guy would have looked at him and said, "Yeah, they're all still dead." But no, that would have been really cynical.
I did like
the show's about.
I did like when Boren, the CGIS, which I like the saying that because it's just CGI and then you just add an S on the end of it.
Yeah. Computer generated
investigative services.
Maybe that will be a show in the future when all this deep fake stuff is indiscernible from reality.
Yeah.
Is that where we're going? No, but cool.
Yeah, she's kind of fun how when she's dealing with Sebastian because she like plays into his paranoia.
Yeah.
Like I forget, like he's saying he's like saying something in a dismissive tone about like working for the government, and then she kind of gives him a look, but he's like, no, like the government.
Yeah, it's good they avoided some of the terms that became associated with alt-right crazies. It's like it's a good thing Sebastian wasn't talking about the deep state in 2008 or something.
Yeah,
back people would be like, "Oh, this is a bad show." It's you know their main characters. But yeah, and then they had some X-Files trivia with Sebastian and the what's her name, the lady
Boren, Abigail Boren.
Yeah, and she like named off specific episodes that she liked, and he was like, "Oh," and he was he called her a beautiful woman, so you could tell this guy's like, in a nerd way aroused, arousal. So
yeah,
which was funny and uncomfortable.
Yeah, I really liked her in this episode. I was like, she should be in more things.
Yeah, she plays an enjoyable character.
Yeah.
A woman who likes to, interrogate drug dealers and likes action and speaks Spanish. It is from Ohio.
Yeah.
All these things mean something.
Yeah. And again, I didn't see her other NCIS appearances, so I don't know. How much did they reintroduce this character, or how much you were supposed to already know? I don't know, but she was fun. So,
well, they did their job because either way you could enjoy it.
Yeah. So ultimately the professor did it. They're like going online and like somebody's selling these coins, and like they think and at this point they still think it's the admiral's daughter.
And they're converting them to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's a thing still, kind of, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's bigger than it's ever been. I mean, it's on
Tuesday, and then on Thursday it's down 500%.
Yeah. It's very volatile right now, but still, I always love those stories about like somebody has like some hard drive that's in a closet somewhere that has like 3 Bitcoins on it. It's like, oh crap, that's worth like $5 million.
And that's how we'll pay off the national debt.
Although, I guess the cryptocurrency is crashing because China made all cryptocurrency illegal.
I wonder why. They are just champions of any kind of boy. If you just try to get out from under their thumb, even a way that's not even conceivable 5 years from now, the Chinese are already on it. It's like, nope, this isn't happening. Now, however, you can commit all kinds of crimes, in other countries from China, literally from China. That's cool. Fentanyl. But let's not talk about that. That's not the show for that.
Yeah, they catch the professor. They find the body in the Gulf, and then they reconcile with the admiral because like she has a son that's now he's going to be taking. It was son, right? Or was it daughter?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Okay. Son. It's a cute little boy.
Yeah, and then also it ends with Kate and LaSalle kind of reconciling, where it's like, we're going to work on this mental illness together. It's okay.
And whatever crimes you've committed that you're on the run from that you admitted are real, now we're going to have steaks and beers, and then deal with whatever mayhem may have occurred, which is kind of actually sounds ridiculous, but it is siblings, so yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah,
and especially that guy who seems to like have wants a normal family, but doesn't. I mean, that's the thing about this show. Like all these main characters, they want something normal.
Yeah.
None of them have it.
Nope.
Which is sad. But does that say something about the jobs they chose, or what does it mean? Because because we don't know. We get little snippets, and then that's what keeps you coming back.
Well, I mean, that's it might have been the previous episode where they're at the gala and the bomb goes off. And like that thing happening is exactly why Pride's wife left him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, can you imagine coming home telling? I can't imagine coming home telling my wife that. What happened today at work? Oh, somebody crashed a forklift. You know, that's the worst thing I could say. It's not. Oh, there was a bomb that killed multiple people that was aimed at me. It's like, oh, are we safe here? Is this? No. Yeah, that tends to put a strain on the marriage. It's like, what do you make a year? What are you doing?
So our second show, we have The Mentalist, season 1, episode 12, Red Rum,
which is funny because that's murder in the mirror.
Yeah.
If you watch
The Shining.
The Shining.
Was that in the book too?
I don't know.
Okay.
The book's way different from the movie that no. Yeah,
Stanley
of course
Kubrick.
I'm drawing a blank on my favorite director.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick. Now they didn't make a TV show of The Shining.
Didn't they make two?
Or maybe, yeah, I knew of one.
There's one with the guy from Wings.
Yeah.
Where they replaced the axe with a croquet mallet.
Yeah.
But I think that was actually accurate to the book, maybe? I can't remember.
I know there was, I don't know which one now that I know there's two, which I didn't know. I knew of one. But I know there was one that looked a lot like the Stanley Kubrick movie, but was actually closer in spirit to the novel.
Yeah.
But it was a mini series. That's why, because I don't know if you've ever seen the book The Shining. It's like 500 pages. Like, you're not going to make a 90-minute movie out of that and throw everything in. So, yeah, there's a more accurate version of it out there if you really want that. Because I never considered that like the Stephen King ultimate movie novelization. It was just a great movie on its own that borrowed, something from Stephen King. That's why Stanley Kubrick's a genius. But anyway.
January 13th, 2009, CBS Tuesday. A young football talent in a small town is found dead, apparently killed in a black magic sacrifice ritual. And the center of the investigation becomes a self-proclaimed Wicca whose cat was allegedly tortured and killed by the victim. Showrunner Bruno Heller, written by Andy Bushell, directed by Dean White.
Yeah, this was a weird episode. Well, I mean,
what it reminded me of is that there's an X-Files episode that deals with witches and stuff, and like that, I was reminded of that episode, which is also like fine. It's not the greatest X-Files episode, but I was reminded. Where it's basically like there's witches, and is this stuff real? And they're attacking football players. Here we know that's not to be the case, but with X-Files, it's like, oh, it could be real. We don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I think I don't know if there's supposed to be a bunch of inside jokes because one of the leads, Lisbon, Robin Tooney, one of her most famous roles she did is she was the lead in that movie, The Craft.
Okay.
Which is a 90s movie about young witches fighting each other, essentially. So I don't know if there's a bunch of in jokes that's supposed to be going on, but yeah, that I believe that sometimes they play with that.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, there's like that, and there's like the part where Jane is talking about football. And it's like, why do they call it football? You don't really use your feet. And I was wondering if that was because he's from Australia or Tasmania. If he's like, yeah, this is stupid. I'm gonna bring that to the show.
Yeah, they have all kinds of weird names for football overseas. It's like it used to be American football. Now it's called American gridiron football. Like they have to all this extra stuff into it. It's like, no, it's just American football. It's just rugby with different rules and helmets and shoulder pads. It's but they still act like it's some strange thing, like it hasn't matriculated into their culture at all. It's like, okay, come on, stop it, guys. You know what it is. It's the best sport in the world. But anyway.
Well, also we pretend to ignore soccer. Like, that doesn't exist. It's only the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah. Well, yeah, soccer is the biggest, but Gridiron American football is the best because you score more than 2 points in 4 fucking hours. And that's all I have to say about that. Oh, and there's also actually strategy.
Yeah.
American football.
Or at least strategy you can.
Yeah, you can put yourself in the action.
You can isolate it and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if I bothered, I could learn to enjoy soccer, but it's like, why bother?
Oh, there's a dude at work that's all into it. He coaches a soccer team. He has all the shirts from overseas, and he's about my size. I don't know where he gets them, but he's got all, like, what team is that? He's like, oh, that's like a local football club outside of Edinburgh. It's like, you know those guys? Yeah, they came here. We did stuff. I was like, oh, okay, you're really into this, huh? Because he has to pay for really expensive satellite packages just to see all the games here, and he can't watch the internet or anything because that stuff's always, like, you know, happening at 3 a.m. here. So
the only thing I like about soccer, which I learned this from Ted Lasso, is they have I forget what it's called. Basically, if your team sucks, they call it getting regulated. And so if your team continues to be sucks, then it'll get kicked out of the league, which is fascinating. That'd be like, oh, had the Knicks sucked 5 years in a row? Well, they're getting regulated, and we're having like a minor league coming up to replace the New York Knicks. Like, that would be amazing to see.
Everything I know about soccer or football, as they call it in the rest of the world, I learned from watching that movie, The Damn United. About he was a famous soccer coach, and it's that guy who always plays Tony Blair. It's that British actor. He played this soccer coach over there. And,
oh yeah, is that the guy from Frost Nixon?
Yeah.
Okay.
That guy. And so I watched that movie. Like, it was really well acted. It was very compelling. I didn't understand a lot that was going on, so I went down some rabbit hole about this specific team and what this incident was about, or this time and place, and then that opened up like a whole thing about, you know, how football is played over there and all that. And it's like, oh, well, this is so much like Formula One. It's like complex. There's extra rules and triple rules, and these rules apply then. And it's like, oh yeah, this is what happens when millions of people are into a sport. Like, it gets complicated, and it's huge. It's a massive amount of people play that.
Oh yeah, because all you need is a ball and then, like, you don't even need a net. You don't even need to draw the square on the field. It's just having imaginary lines, and it works.
Yeah, didn't we have like a big conversation once about how the big difference between American sports and sports all around the world is our sports are like the Olympics, like you need massive infrastructure to support it, but everywhere else it's like you just need a certain size field, some white chalk, and a ball. You know, you don't need like complex gear and, you know, stadiums that people, you know, a large city's worth of people can sit in. Like, that's our
and the players don't need to be like outrageously like athletic or muscly. Like, they just be you just need to be able to run a really long time and kick a ball. But
everyone can play.
Anyways, I don't know if this is going to be a good episode or not. I like that we're getting off topic and running into things, but we'll see. Anyway, so in Mentalist, Red Rum, there's some missing kids, and so CBI is brought in. I forget why the reason, but it's like, it's because it's been missing long enough. And because I think they find in his shoe, and that's when they like, all right, there's probably a body, so that's when they bring the CBI in. There's some kids riding around a bike with anarchy sweaters. Patrick James picks up on that, like, one of the kids is riding like a pink bike, so it's obviously like well, actually, no, it doesn't have to be obviously. But it's probably his sister's, and so like there had to be somewhat of an emergency to borrow his sister bike and run around with it. And then they point out just like some carrion birds circling, and it's like, well, I guess the body's over there. And then they do find the football player's body, like in a tree with candles on it and a bunch of satanic symbols around it. So
and an actually a really gross looking dead body too.
Yeah,
like an eyeball's obviously missing, and it's all blackened, and it's like, ooh, this is for network TV. That's a little, and they stay on it a while too in camera. They don't like pan over it.
Well, I think that's something that they learned with CSI, because if you watch CSI, is like it seems way more violent than it is. Because last time you didn't see the violent, you just saw the aftermath of the violent.
Okay.
But then they would do stuff where they'd like try to explain like how the wound work, and they'd have like this like inside like X-ray of like a body and like the bullet going through like a lung and what happens. And it's like that seems way more violent than if you just showed somebody shoot somebody and just blood splatter everywhere.
Yeah, you're seeing like the organs being damaged and like the skin puckers, and it's like
but I think CSI got away with that because it like was under the guise of like this is being informative. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, it depends on how popular the show is too. It seems like the more money it makes, like the more lawyers and stuff the networks are willing to throw. Because Lost got away with a lot. It's like axe murder and stuff. Like they got away with a lot of stuff that you wouldn't see on network TV if it wasn't like this huge cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of these shows kind of play off. You're right. Like they don't show like close-up gratuitous violence or sex, but they certainly describe and illustrate how it works, and then have little side panels where it's like they'll show like like you said, the inside of a body, like with a camera going through like a bullet. It's like that's but again, that's like, well, they do that on PBS, it's like they can kind of get away with that.
Yeah. So the parents, they inform the parents that their son had died. Cody, I believe. Yeah, Cody. Yes. And then they blame it on Tamsin Dove, the local witch.
The local witch. And this is some town in Northern California that's standing in for Texas.
Oh, really?
Well, it seems.
Oh, I guess they had a football thing. Yeah.
It's a town centered around football, and you had all the hard ass coaches and the hard ass parents that beat their kids. It's like, this doesn't sound like California, but they do that a lot in this show. Or maybe Northern California's like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
never been there. Little towns.
Yeah. Well, I know there's an extreme difference between Northern California and Southern California. Like what you think of Californians is Southern California, but there's like a whole nother half of California that you forget that is like basically hillbillies.
Yeah, I mean that's what where I live is exactly like that. Like where I live is everyone thinks of, oh, you live in Michigan, where do you live? How close to Detroit? And that determines a lot about your character. And so I'm not very far, so but yeah, you go up into northern Michigan, it's like, oh, you start hearing banjos in the distance. It's like, wow, this is really different. And it looks like every shitty town, small town in the Midwest, just writ large in northern Michigan. And there's also like 18 feet of snow a year too to make it even more. So yeah, we don't get that here, but they get that up there. And then you go into the Upper Peninsula, but that we're way off topic.
Yeah, so they go and interview the coach, and that's kind of like the first misdirect, because it seems like Cody and the coach got in a fist fight. Like that's not
bloody brawl. Like, it was blood found.
That's not suspicious at all. So that's where you immediately think, oh, the coach did it. Coach.
Then you find out like coach talks a good game, but if you can beat the shit out of him, you win. It's like, oh, that's everyone's fantasy. Never happens, but okay.
So we have like they're at the house. They go to the Tamsin Dove's house, but like nobody answers the door, and Jane finds just a paper clip that's bent to look like a lockpick underneath the welcome mat, which also has a pentagram underneath it. And then Cho bets him like, I bet you can't pick that lock, because Lisbon's there too, and she basically gets like, yeah, the warrant's set, we can go ahead and enter the house, and he pops the lock in like a second.
Cho doesn't even get to make his bet.
Yeah, he doesn't even get to start the timer on the watch, and he's already
Jane's criminal skills come into play. Now, one thing that threw me about this, when they said this, like, oh, this lady says this person says she's a witch, I'm thinking it's a teenager.
Yeah.
Like oh, it's the teenage witch.
Yes.
The one dark girl in school, and we know what that's all about. And I thought that's what we were gonna see, but then they go to this house and there's like pentagrams and goat head knockers on the door, and it's like, what kind of parents are these? They just let Satan take over their house. But then you find out, oh, she's like an adult.
Yeah.
Hanging around a bunch of kids, not suspicious at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was going to be the element of it, like it was a love thing, and somebody was mad because she was having sex with the football. But then that gets into sex with minors and stuff. They don't do that on TV. But that's where I thought the story was going, like it was going to be a sex thing.
Yeah.
And they were angry because she was in love with him, so they tried to frame him as a Satan murderer or something. But no.
I also have like Cho being apprehensive about witchcraft stuff.
I was really thinking that the other lady was gonna what do I call it,
Van Pelt.
Yeah, Grace Van Pelt was gonna have another. Oh, it's another bullshit Van Pelt episode. Grace is beautiful. Shut up. And even Jane's like, oh my god, how'd you get this job? But it wasn't. It was Cho this time, which was funny because Cho is always the most logical guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why how he explains it is like he's like 99% sure this crap is garbage, but it's like he leaves room for that 1%, and that 1% scares him.
Yeah. I'm sort of like, well, see, when I was a teenager, I was always into like pentagrams and stuff, but just to fuck with people. Like I didn't really believe in any of that stuff, but I don't not believe other people's belief in it. Because there's things around here. There's like all kinds of witches and stuff around here, and people say they're into Wicca and all that. I don't like laugh at them openly. I mean, I don't think there's anything to it, but it's like I'm not going to mess with. I wouldn't go to a church and laugh at them either. So it's like I'm not going to mess with whatever these people believe in. So I'm kind of sympathetic to how he feels, except letting it have power. It's like, well, no, there's that of course doesn't. You can put all kinds.
Well, I mean that's kind of like the obvious like humor for the episode is like Cho is the least person you'd expect to be afraid of witchcraft, and it's like so that's the obvious joke.
And I was expecting them to explore like Asian horror stuff. Like, why do you feel this way, Cho? But he doesn't really play up any Asian angle to his character. As a matter of fact, he just talks and sounds like everyone else, so we don't know anything about him other than he's got a Korean name or something. And it's like, oh, I was hoping to. Like, oh, my grandma told me about the spirits. I was hoping for that. Never materialized.
Although we do find out his first name, which is it's Kimball.
Kimball Cho.
Because Jane just offers up his name when the lady's performing some ritual.
Burning him in effigy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also find out that Cowan is like the name for non-believer Wicca or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
Which I never heard before. So.
Actually, whenever I see a show where witchcraft and Wiccans are involved in it, I always think, I want to just know more about that, because a lot of that paganism like comes from like where our ancestors came from, and I'm always like sort of curious, like what is that? But I never really look into it. I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna build a model of a tank. I'm not gonna learn.
Well, it's like a lot of Christian holidays are about absorbing a lot of that. What do you
Christmas, Halloween, the pagan culture.
Just absorb that pagan stuff. So it's like we need everybody to be Christian. We know you do this crap anyways, so we'll just incorporate it into Christianity and pretend it all. Because our
holidays with your holidays, so you can't have holidays. Yeah,
because it's like, why do we have a Christmas tree? It has nothing to do with Christ. It's like because it was like absorbing some pagan holiday where like when people like wrap around the maypole and stuff or whatever, that pagan stuff, and like that's why you decorate a Christmas tree. Like it's a pagan thing. That's why the Christmas tree is a pagan symbol. We just absorb for Christianity to bring it to the masses.
Yeah, if you want to learn about how weird a lot of that stuff is, watch the 1970s Wicker Man. That's like they really did their research to make a very strange movie. It was Christopher Lee and Edward Woodward and a bunch of people, and it was like full frontal nudity all throughout the movie. It's like, I can't believe they're doing this. It's like, oh, it was shot in England. They can do that. And
or watch the remake for a hilarious Nicolas Cage performance.
What the goddamn bee?
He's just like punching ladies and yelling bees,
which is probably the reaction anyone would have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always been curious about it, but then I never follow up because it's like, well, why? I'm curious about the belief system. I'm just curious, like, what does it come from? What are they
Yeah.
celebrating? What did it mean to them? And it's
Yeah.
really nebulous.
How did somebody's trying to piece together, why does this thing do it this? And that was their leap of logic is like, this is what made the crops grow. Yeah.
This is how I get a woman pregnant, or it's like, where did all this come from? Because that's all Satanism and Wicca and all that. And I know they'll say it's not the same thing, but they kind of trade symbols, so I get confused. But it all comes from that like weird pagan origin. But I don't know. Maybe someday I'll get into Wicca. Why not?
Anyways, they start building up that like Cody is like how violent he is. Like he's beating up his coach. He like broke a beer bottle over his friend's head. He apparently stole and killed Tamsin Dove's cat.
We never get a follow up on whether he did that or not, because he actually, it turns out like his dad killed him because he's just an angry kid who is tired of getting beat up by his dad. That's where all the rage from his coach and stuff comes from. But
he was protecting his brother, right? Because he was going to beat the crap out of his brother because his brother was hanging out with the witch.
Yeah.
And then then when Cody stands up to his dad takes a monkey wrench to his head. So
yeah, which is like, wow, that's
yeah.
But I never found out, did Cody kill the cat?
Yeah, no, they don't. That's just one of those things. Like it just. They needed to portray him as possibly being very violent.
Yeah, but I thought the cat was going to symbolize something.
Yeah,
but it didn't. Yeah,
no. She specifically says he stole and killed the cat, which she can know he stole the cat, but how does she know he killed the cat? Which that's not ever resolved. Like the cat could have just ran away. We don't know, but
yeah.
Or the brother liked the cat, so he stole the cat for his brother or something.
Yeah, it doesn't never resolves. But I was always looking like the deeper meaning of the cat. Like I was hoping at the end it would focus in on the cat and it would like wink, and it was really the one responsible for all this stuff. Yeah, it didn't happen.
When she's burning the Cho in effigy, she's like pointing about like Mr. X and stuff like that, and I was like, is that kind of like slightly breaking the fourth wall? It's like, this is the format of the show. We have Mr. X.
Yeah.
Because like all the symbols, it's like, why would I kill the guy and leave all these symbols around? It obviously leads to me. And it's like, oh, well then obviously I didn't kill him because it's too obvious.
And Jane would be like, well, no. But see, Jane, who usually attacks bullshit artists, he's kind of sympathetic with this lady. And then you later come to find out why. Because she had serious like mental illness problems and a terrible life. And
he has a good line where he talks about like, where he's basically like, he's like trying to get down to, you know, how to real stuff. And he's like, look, I know this like gives you fulfillment and makes you feel safe, but you need to give up the bullshit right now. We need to know like what happened here. And then she finally
someone's dead. Find out what's going on.
Jane does his lie detector thing again, which is always weird, but
let me hold your hand. Nothing weird. It's like, no, it's very weird. Very weird, but okay. It's one of my least favorite things he does because it seems like well, I don't know, maybe you're not supposed to like it, I don't know, because it projects kind of a menace and a strangeness.
Yeah,
because you imagine people being interrogated by police, whether they did something or not, it's always scary. And then you got some dude showing up like with weird sparkly eyes like, I'm gonna hold your hand, nothing weird. It's like, yeah, fuck you, dude. Super weird, don't do this.
But then they're interrogating the parents again, and then Jane just like walks off. Is like, you have a bathroom? And then he starts talking to the younger brother, and then the dad shows up, and he's like, I didn't give you permission to talk to my son. He's like, well, that's a little controlling and weird, but okay.
Well, I thought I was originally thinking like, oh, the mom and the dad are just bad actors. Like, these do not seem people that are mourning the ritualistic murder of their son, which, you know, they always knew they were suspects, but I didn't really put the dad together as that. But then when he's talking to Jane about, I didn't give you permission to talk to my son, it's like, yeah, dude, take some time to mourn. But then you find out it's like, oh yeah, people that kill people don't mourn it. I mean, maybe they do, but they're too busy trying to hide everything to really have the right feelings, and the mom and the other son were just keeping so many secrets. They're abused people. It's like, oh, this kind of excuses that.
Well, we also find out that the mom's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But then also, well, there's a thing that they did. I was waiting for it to be a reveal. The mom was wearing a handkerchief, and I was like waiting for like there to be like some like choke marks around her or whatever, bruising from being choked from the somebody. But that never. She was just wearing a scarf or whatever. So.
Yeah, we've been watching these shows long enough, especially the first two procedurals, and now we're on the lookout. It's like, what does this mean? What does that mean? And which is part of like the point of this show. But then when the stuff doesn't pay off, I'm always like, oh, I was hoping that would be the symbol of the show.
But yeah, they get the dad to like basically try to hide the monkey wrench, and that's how they catch him, like red-handed, trying to dispose of it. And there was a weird scene where Jane is like taunting him through the loudspeaker on the police car.
Yeah, because they said were going to have the witch cast a spell of revelation, reveal the wrench to us, and that freaked the dad out for some reason because he's some small town hick, and they assume he like, oh, of course he believes in witchcraft. And I mean, yeah, that was kind of funny, like because he was doing through the police scanner. This is God. I'm very disappointed in you. It's like, yeah, that's kind of weird and funny. Even Lisman's like, can you rein it in a little bit?
This is inappropriate.
Arresting this guy for beating his son's skull in with a wrench. This isn't like a mirthful moment. But see, that's why Jane is kind of a sociopath. Like he doesn't really. It's like, yeah, bad shit happens. Make the best of it. You know. But when it comes to my wife and daughter, don't talk about that. I'll go crazy. But yeah, but everyone else, I guess he can do that because, like, you know, the guy's dad had agency in killing his son. So I'm gonna mock him. He's an asshole. So, but still, it seemed kind of weird, but funny.
Yeah,
typical Jane stuff.
So yeah, we have it at the end. Jane is just burning some paper in a sink. And then he takes the ashes and he gives it to Cho. It's like, oh, Tamsin told me to give you this. It was like, this is your power back. And then Cho just kind of like holds on to it. It's like, all right, okay, good. Then supposedly just puts it in his desk or something.
Yeah, and everyone else is in on it.
Yeah.
Because they catch Jane doing that. Like, what the hell are you doing? He's burning like paper in his sink, you know.
And then for our third show, we have season 1 episode. Is that right? 12? Oh, I wrote wrong. So 12. Milk Run. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong notes. Original air date January 4th, 1985, NBC Friday. Crockett and Tubbs encounter two naive young men smuggling cocaine-filled statue for a murderous criminal. Showrunner Michael Mann, written by Allison Hawk, directed by John Nicola. Or Nicola. No, Nicolella. There's a lot of L's there.
Yeah, let me see if I can figure this one out. John Nicolella.
Yeah.
Sounds like an enforcer on some mob thing.
Hey, Nicolella, get over here.
Nicolella's in town. He's looking to kill someone.
So you have a
right direction, Johnny.
I got this. Is this ZZ Top, the opening with legs?
Yes.
That's okay. Yeah, I got the opening with legs. Crockett pervs out in some lady who's like bending over, and then like, but they seem to have a fun moment with it. It's like, I can't do that nowadays.
She's bending over in a mini skirt, and then she looks at him while she's bent over through her legs and waves at him.
Yeah, she smiles and waves at him.
Yeah, so she was like obviously okay with it. He certainly was.
And then
I miss the good old days.
And then Tubbs is sweaty unexplainably.
Yeah, and it's commented on a few times. Crockett's like, "Whoa, you're sticky." It's like, "Whoa, gross." I thought that was I didn't understand that exactly.
Yeah, I was waiting for there to be an explanation, but there was not.
Because apparently Crockett and Tubbs were just cruising the airport looking to drum up cases.
Yeah.
It's like they weren't like acting on a tip. They were just looking for people that seemed suspicious. And
they tell like they have like the people at the counter at giving the tickets. Like they apparently have like some like a checklist of like if they hit this and tell us, and it's usually like people trying to smuggle drugs. Well, they talk about.
Well, what they catch them doing is because they pay cash for plane tickets.
Yeah.
Because in the good old days, you didn't even have to have an ID to get on a plane. You show up with $1,500, they're selling you a ticket. I'm seeing that, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't imagine. That would instantly lead to your arrest today. No ID. Here's some cash. It's like they're pressing a button under the table. Guys are rappelling from the ceiling, you know.
Also, like why you're supposed to like declare if you have a certain amount of cash or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you used to be able to walk around with $1 million if you wanted to. Not since, and it's because of stuff like this why it's illegal.
And I immediately recognize. So they have you have the two young guys. And I immediately recognized one of them, and then I went through paused it and just went through his Internet Movie Database. It's a young Evan Handler. That's Lewis.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you know any of his stuff. He's mostly known as a bald guy, but here he has hair, and I'm not. I was like, it's back when he had hair, but I'm not sure because one thing looking up his stuff is that he got leukemia like in his 20s, which he would be about 23, 24 in this episode.
Okay,
so that could have been a wig, but yeah, he's most notably known for being bald. I don't know if you ever watched Californication. He was like his agent in Californication.
Yeah, the guy looks familiar because I looked everyone up in this show too because it's like I recognize some of these people.
Or like one of his credits that stood out to me is like 10 years later he was in the show Frogmen. Now, do you know the infamous TV pilot?
No, tell me about it.
So what's infamous for it's a show about Navy SEALs. And this is the one where O.J. Simpson was in it, and presumably he was like the knife expert of the Navy SEALs. I don't know if it's true or not. That's just kind of like the mythology. Like either like he could have been the knife expert in the show, or he could have been a guy who had a knife on his chest and he never uses it, but people are like, he was the knife expert.
It makes for a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't probably show O.J. Simpson carving up some woman like a turkey in the Frogman episode because that would have just been played over and over.
Yeah.
That show would have actually like been popular.
Yeah. Evan Handler probably now he kind of looks like Jeff Bezos, especially because of the bald head. Although he's like 3 years older than Jeff Bezos and looks way younger than him.
Oh, okay. So he's like in his.
He's gonna turn like 60 like this year or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, he has aged quite well. But yeah, so apparently so they go and Crockett and Tubbs like scare these guys, basically tell them how they're gonna get ripped off, because apparently they meet this profile where like guys take like their life savings and like, we can quadruple of this if we just do one drug deal. And they're like, you can't just do one drug deal. And these guys are going to see through it and just rob you. Yeah. Which is like at the end of the show is exactly what happens.
Yeah,
it's like what they're using to scare them is exactly what happens. And then also they run away and they get away, running through an airport. There's also a weird part where they have like a lady running with them with a radio.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's keeping up with them pretty good because they keep cutting back and they kept her in the shot, but she's never like, she's just there. And but they keep the continuity of her being there. But then they're getting hot dogs. This is also where Tubbs claims to be a vegetarian.
Yes.
Because in the previous episode, which I didn't mention there, but I did note it, he gets this hot dog from this guy and then he just throws it away. And it's like, well, that's a waste. And so like, I don't know if this is a thing with his character, or we'll find out if he is actually a vegetarian or if he just hates hot dogs. I don't know. But then Sloan, the public defender, who's now like going to be like with a firm, because he pulls up in like a Corvette. And he's taunting Crockett because apparently he got his client off on one of their cases as a public defender.
Right.
But also, yeah, this is where Tubbs also tells them that they have like surveillance on a coke lab in South Miami, and apparently it's like a garbage stakeout assignment that they didn't want to do, but they had to.
Right.
And it becomes exciting because they just stake out the house, and then like some guy lights a cigarette, walks in, and it explodes violently.
Yeah. It's like a really sudden explosion too. Like you're like, oh, what are they going to see? Someone get shot? No, the house is going to explode.
Yeah. I had to rewind it because I was like, wait, is this like a hit? Like did some rival drug dealer blow it up? And then I rewound it and it's like, oh no, the guy just walked in with a cigarette and the place blew up. But this is where they find the statues that are filled with cocaine.
Yeah, this is like Santeria stuff. Because remember that leads them to the lady who was into Santeria, who's the girlfriend of some guy that
Oh, it's Bogosian.
Yeah,
the biker. That's the dude from Talk Radio.
Oh yeah, I thought I recognized him.
Yeah, there's a lot of people recognizable in this episode. I kind of lose it because there's the stuff where like they go meet that lady to talk to her, and then like then Tubbs is talking to the boyfriend. I think Zeke is the boyfriend. That's Eric Bogosian, or I can't remember his first name. And then he like kind of jumps in Crockett's car to escape from them. Then they go to like a boxing gym, and I kind of like lose the plot. Like they're kind of going from place to place with information, but I just kind of forget like how'd they lead here, and how does this have to do with the one guy?
Well, the two guys got away from him at the airport.
Yeah,
and then they're doing the stakeout, and one of the Moya brothers was one of the Moya brothers was connected to
the boxing gym.
Well, his brother is I forget which one, because there's Diego. I think that's the one that gets shot in the.
Yes, that's the one that gets shot.
Okay, so his brother runs that boxing gym, but they know the Moyas are involved in that house that exploded.
Okay, yeah.
That's the thread that ties it all together. It's not like super clear, but yeah, that's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, because eventually the young guys from the beginning go and get drugs from wherever, and then come back. Yeah, Colombia. Yeah. And then come back. And that's where, and then like Crockett and Tubbs are just like looking for like where their last known location is, and guy just walks in with drugs in his bag, and they just catch him immediately.
Yeah.
Also, it's like kind of weird because like Crockett has sympathy for him. It's like, hey, we know you're just gonna do one and get out, but like that's not how this works. So, if you help us do this drug bust, we're just gonna send you back home to New York, and that will be into like or otherwise you're going to do 15 years in jail.
Yeah.
So he decides to help him out, and that's where you have the weird scene where they're going to get ripped off by Diego Moya, and he just kind of turns around, pulls out a gun, and then when he turns around, he's just suddenly shot in the back, and he's dead.
Yeah, they had snipers across the way, but it wasn't exactly... You saw these guys run into this building with guns during the daytime, the sniper, and then you weren't exactly sure what was going on there, but then all of a sudden one of them shoots him, like the guy before he kills the two kids and robs them. But then like Evan Handler's character, he like really freaks out, as anyone would, because somebody just got shot right in front of him who was going to kill him.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like this stunned figure the rest of the episode.
And then they go back to the boxing gym because they're looking for the other brother. I can't remember.
Yes.
It's like ZD or something, like, or Day Day or something. I can't remember. I don't think I wrote down the brother's name. Pepe. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Right here. Pepe Moya is the real danger. Yeah. So he was he like watched his brother die, and apparently Pepe was the real crazy one. So they go try to looking for him at the boxing gym, but he's not there. I think. But then like Castillo's like, hey, your guys are done for the night. And he says, you're going on the milk run, which like, I suppose it's supposed to be the easy job. Like they're just supposed to take these guys to the airport and send them home. And that's why that's the title of the episode, is the milk run. But that's when Eddie gets shot by Pepe, who just shows up in the airport with a shotgun.
Yeah, just walks in with a fully, like just a long shotgun. They say they're at the airport. It looked like a shopping center to me, but yeah.
Well, I thought it was like one of those corner stores like that they have inside an airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Hudson or whatever. It's one of those things.
Oh. That's
what I thought. But it also seems weird that, but it's the 80s. The guy can just walk in there with a shotgun. Yeah. I thought they did it in slow motion. I thought it looked kind of cool, and maybe it might seem as a production mistake, but like the slow-mo camera they use and like the frequency of the lights like create this strobing effect, which I thought looked neat, but that probably people might see that as a mistake, but I thought it was, maybe a happy accident. I just kind of liked how that looked.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird,
Yeah, then Tubbs chases down Pepe and gets cornered, but then like they're able to pull off 2 shots with this 38 and puts him down pretty easily. And then they just and then Crockett and Tubbs like lament their failure, and then they basically just send Eddie, Eddie was shot. Yeah, Lewis. They just like, yeah, go home, and Lewis is kind of like, he says something like, "Do you think this is funny or whatever?" It's like he's getting extra serious about like, he almost died, and then his friend did die, and now he's just got to go home, and the situation seems completely ridiculous and unbelievable to him, but that's how the episode ends. Them failing.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that like Crockett's going to stay with the guy who's just shot and dead, their informant, one of the young guys.
Yeah.
And it's like Tubbs should have been like, yeah, I'm glad you left me to go chase that guy down and get my face shot off with my 12 gauge shotgun versus my snub nose 38. But it was never mentioned. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it for Miami Vice this week. It's one of their like middling episodes where it's like,
yeah, that's fine.
This is guy's gonna, these kids are. I thought they were both gonna get killed.
Yeah.
But it turned out only one of them did, and the other one just has to live with it, which is almost darker.
Well, like we kind of, this is an interesting episode because we kind of had a lot of these affluent, like kids mixed up with drug stuff, especially the previous episode. But like this one's kind of different, where it's like these guys, they're just kind of being opportunists. Like, well, they want to open a bar or something. I can't remember. It was like a nightclub or something, and like they don't have the money to do it. But if we have 4 times the money, it's like, we're just going to do this one drug deal and get out. And so that was an interesting, like, kind of twist on what is usually just, we just need to make money. But it's like here, they're not necessarily like lifelong criminals. It's just like, it's just an easy way for them to make money that they don't see it. And they don't want to spend the time to rake 4 times the money they have. And they just want to get rich quick and start living life. But
yeah. Yeah, so this is considered like the lightest hearted season of Miami. Actually, as I remember, it doesn't really. It's always has this level of darkness, but it's just it's more well orchestrated in the later episodes.
Yeah,
and also this is one where they actually had like through line stories and stuff throughout the whole season, which it wasn't quite as directed as it is now, but it was unique for the time. So, but then it becomes like almost like, yeah, we'll talk about it as we watch other. Well, I don't know how many more seasons of Miami Vice we're gonna do, but yeah, it basically becomes like, is this Miami Vice or is this some branch of the CIA that's involved in all kinds of weird shit?
Well, if you liked what you heard, and how couldn't you? You can. Well, you're listening to this somehow. But anyways, you can find us at anchor.fn/Verhoeven Effect. The way I like to remember how to spell Verhoeven Effect, or Verhoeven, is Verho, V-E-R-H-O, and then even at the end. You can also find us at verhoeveneffect.com. If you're using a Google browser, it'll say like, we think someone might be scamming you, but it's fine. You can click proceed, or you can just go through Anchor FM. Anyways, you can find ways to get there. We have listener support. You can support us at 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. There's a Verhoeven Effect Facebook page. There is a Verhoeven Effect Twitter, just at Verhoeven Effect. Where I don't do anything yet with it other than I just post when the episode airs. Anyways, for this week for the Verhoeven Effect podcast is Conlon.
And this is Nathan.
Goodbye, America.